Okay. Have you ever had one of those days where, like, everything's going fine and then, bam, you have to deal with a rude colleague
Oh, yeah.
and it just, like, throws off your whole day?
Like stepping on a Lego.
It totally is. It's like the worst. And so today, we're going to dive into this book, Managing Rude and Aggressive Colleagues, a workplace guide, which is all about how to deal with those situations with grace and get you back on track.
Yeah, and I really like how this book, it goes beyond like just complaining about it. Like we all do that, right?
Oh, yeah.
It actually gives you things you can do,
Right.
which I think that's the part I'm always missing. It's like, how do I deal with it?
Exactly. Like, I'm so good at complaining about it, but how do I fix it? And so the first tactic that they highlight in the book is this idea of setting boundaries like a boss.
I like that.
Right. But I think a lot of times I struggle with that because I'm like, well, I want to be assertive, but I also don't want to be like the office jerk.
Right.
You know?
You don't be the mean one.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you don't want people to think that you're not a team player.
Right.
But the thing is that you're not saying that. What this book really emphasizes is you're not saying that the person is a jerk.
Okay.
You're just saying that this behavior
Right.
isn't working for you.
Yeah.
Like when Kevin sends those really passive-aggressive emails.
Oh my gosh, Kevin. We all know a Kevin.
We all have a Kevin or a Brenda.
Oh, yeah.
But instead of like engaging in that and like getting sucked in, you can actually just address it
Okay.
head on and say, Kevin, you know, I value you as a colleague, but when you send emails like that, it's hard for me to work with you.
Okay. So you're acknowledging Kevin, but you're also drawing that boundary.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
separating the person from the behavior.
Yeah, I like that.
And you know what? You can also just totally disengage.
Oh,
They actually even give you a script, which I thought was kind of funny.
okay.
But they're like, I'm really busy with this project right now. I'll talk to you later.
Oh, like that.
And just walk away. Like, that's totally fine.
That is good.
Because you don't have to engage.
Right. You don't have to.
So that's the first one, setting boundaries like a boss.
Okay. I'm already feeling empowered.
Me too.
So what's the next tactic we're diving into?
Okay, this one is my favorite. It is called the gray rock method.
The gray rock method.
Okay, so imagine you're a rock.
Okay.
A gray rock, like really boring, not exciting at all.
Not excited.
That's the whole point.
Okay.
Because some people, those difficult colleagues, they thrive on drama.
Oh, yeah.
They
Can't
will-
take off of it.
They feed off of it. They're like emotional
I
vampires.
know I've worked with a few.
Right. And so if you become a rock,
Yeah.
they lose interest
I could see that.
and they go find somebody else.
Yeah. Okay.
So how do you become a rock? Short, neutral answers.
Okay.
Don't gossip with them.
Got it.
And don't engage.
Don't fuel the fire.
No, that is the key.
I will admit, though, that sounds really hard.
It takes practice.
Yeah. Especially for me. Like,
You wear your heart on your sleeve.
I do.
So it's harder, but you can learn to do it.
Okay. So like a psychological strategy.
Yes.
Okay.
And you're using their tactics against them,
Wow.
but in a way that protects your own energy,
Okay.
protects you.
I like it.
So we got setting boundaries. We got the gray rock method.
Okay. That's 2. What's next? This book is packed.
Okay. The next one is all about documentation. And before you start thinking about like a burn book.
Oh, is it not that?
It's not that. I
Right.
confess I thought it was going to be that too.
Okay. Right.
But this is about self-preservation.
Okay.
They are very clear that you need to document these instances.
So what should I be documenting?
The date, the time, what they said,
Okay.
if there was anybody who was there, if there's any context, like you know what was happening.
Like counting a case.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But it's not for revenge.
Okay.
It's just in case it escalates.
So you have a record.
Yeah, you have a record.
I can see how that alone would be kind of empowering. Like you're taking control.
Yes.
You're not just like helpless.
Exactly.
You're taking notes.
Yes, and even if you never have to use it,
Okay.
just having written it down
Yeah.
makes you feel better.
Validates it.
Yes.
Okay. I like that.
Like it happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did happen.
So it's not you,
Right.
you know?
Yeah. And it's like I'm taking steps to protect myself.
Exactly.
Okay. That's good.
It's like having your own little insurance policy.
It is.
Yeah.
All right. I like it.
So you feel more in control.
Definitely. So we've learned about setting boundaries like a boss.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned about the gray rock method.
Yes.
And we've learned about keeping track of everything like we're some kind of detective.
A paper trail.
Yeah.
Always a good thing.
So I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling prepared. But I think what I'm still kind of struggling with is like, okay, those are the big things, but like what about just those every day?
Yeah.
Like little things.
The little digs.
Yeah.
The little...
Like what about Brenda and her wet fish handshake?
Oh,
Wow, how do we deal with that?
So true. It's those little things that kind of wear you down.
Yeah, they totally do.
And they're harder to address sometimes than those big blow-ups.
Right, because you can't be like, Brenda, your handshake is terrible.
Exactly.
So what do we do?
So they have a few tips for that. Like for Brenda, you could say something like,
Okay.
Brenda, it's so good to see you. I've got this hand injury, so I'm just going to wave at you today.
Okay, so still acknowledging her,
Yes.
but drawing a boundary.
Yes.
Okay, I like that.
Right. Or, if Kevin sends another one of those emails.
Oh, Kevin.
Yeah, you just reply with the facts.
Okay, so just like,
No emotion.
here are the facts.
Here's the facts.
Okay.
So like he emails you and says, I thought you were supposed to have that done.
Yeah.
You just say, Kevin, just confirming that the deadline is next Friday, like we talked about in our meeting on Tuesday.
So I'm using my documentation
Yes.
to protect myself.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, I like it.
So you're not getting into a fight,
Right.
but you're also establishing what's true.
And I'm not letting him gaslight me.
No gaslighting.
Okay.
And this is really good too. If you have somebody who likes to misrepresent things.
Oh, I know that type.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's really good
Yeah.
for that.
So we've got all these strategies, but I think it's also important to acknowledge that it can be really draining
Yes.
to deal with these people. It just takes a lot out of you.
It really does.
And I know for me, sometimes I just want to hide in my office
Mhm.
and not talk to anyone.
You want to retreat?
Yeah.
Yes, I totally get that.
But the book also talks about this idea of seeking support,
Yes.
which I think is so important.
It's so important because sometimes you just need to vent.
Yeah.
You need to talk to somebody about it, and sometimes just talking about it
Yeah,
makes you feel better.
it does.
And it can also give you some perspective,
It can.
because you're in your own head.
You're like, oh my gosh, this is awful.
Everyone hates me.
Right, you're catastrophizing, and then you talk to your friend, and
Yeah.
they're like, are you kidding? You're amazing. They're the jerk.
They're the problem.
Yeah.
Right.
So it really helps to have people you can talk to.
Yeah, and it makes you feel less alone,
Yes, less alone.
which I think is so important.
It's so important.
So you can talk to a trusted colleague, a friend, family member, a therapist, anyone who will listen.
Right. But sometimes even with all of this,
Yeah.
even if you do all of this stuff, sometimes it's
still bad.
it's still bad.
Yeah.
And the book actually says, sometimes the best thing to do is to leave.
And that can be such a hard decision.
It can.
But I think it's so important.
It's so important because you can't sacrifice your mental health,
Right.
For a job.
So how do I know?
Mm-hmm.
When is it time to go?
That's a great question.
I've done all this stuff. I've tried. I've documented.
Yeah.
I've vented.
You've set boundaries. You've gray rocked.
Yes.
Okay, so if you've done all that
Yeah.
and it's still really bad
Yeah.
and it's impacting your mental health,
Okay.
you're anxious all the time, you can't sleep,
Yeah.
you're getting headaches,
Yeah.
stomach problems, all that stuff,
Stress.
it might be time to go.
Okay.
And it's not always just one person, right?
No.
Sometimes it's a whole culture,
Yeah, the whole company?
the whole company. It's toxic.
Yeah.
So if that's the case,
It's time to go.
you gotta go.
Okay, so I've recognized the signs.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do?
Okay, first of all,
Okay.
update your resume,
Get it ready.
get it ready, LinkedIn, all of that.
Have my escape hatch prepared.
Exactly. Have your escape hatch ready.
I like it.
And then start talking to people.
Okay.
Tell your friends you're looking.
Okay.
Tell people in your network. You
Yeah.
never know who might know of something.
All right.
And then you want to start saving some money. Because it's hard financially.
To leave a job.
Yes.
Yeah, even if it's terrible.
Yeah, so if you can have a little nest egg,
Okay.
it'll make it easier.
So I've got my resume. I've
Mhm.
told my friends. I've got a little bit of money saved up.
Yes.
Okay, what's next?
And you're mentally ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. And start looking for a job.
Maybe I should start applying.
Start applying.
Okay.
And don't just take anything.
Right.
Find something that's a good fit for you.
Where I can thrive,
Yes.
not just survive.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And be kind to yourself.
Oh, that's important.
It's hard. It's stressful to leave a job,
Yeah. It is.
even if it's a bad one.
It is.
So just remember to breathe
Okay.
and take care of yourself.
And that actually leads perfectly into the last tactic from the book, which is this idea that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. So we've talked about all these strategies. We've talked about setting boundaries, gray rock, documentation, and now even leaving a job.
Yes.
And through it all, I think what's really come through is this idea of like taking control.
Yes.
Like you are not a victim.
You have a choice.
Yeah.
You always have a choice.
And you deserve to be treated with respect.
Absolutely.
Which I think is so important.
It is.
And I think also like what you were saying about like separating the person from the behavior, like that's really helped me. Because I tend to take things very personally.
Yeah. It's hard not to.
So hard.
But if you can remember that their behavior is about them.
Right.
It's not about you.
It makes it a little easier.
It does.
And you can even respond with humor.
Okay.
Sometimes.
That's that.
Right.
You know?
A little deflection.
A little deflection.
Yeah.
And then you can decide, okay, do I set a boundary? Do I go gray rock? Do I document it? Do I leave?
So many choices.
So many choices.
Okay.
But you have them.
And there's always support.
Yes.
So one thing that I was thinking about, the book doesn't explicitly mention is this idea of like, what if instead of just reacting to rudeness, we actually try to create a more positive environment?
I love that.
Like, what if we focus on being kind?
Be the change.
Be the change. Exactly.
Lead by example.
Right. Like, what if we make a point of like complimenting people or helping someone out?
Yeah.
Or just even greeting people in the morning.
Yes.
Like genuinely.
With a smile.
Yeah.
I love that.
And, you know, maybe that won't fix Brenda and Kevin.
Maybe. Maybe not.
But at least.
But you've made your little corner of the world
better.
Better.
Yeah.
You've done your part.
Okay.
And you've been a good human.
I like that.
So that's something to think about.
It is.
How can you
proactively be better?
Yes.
Okay. I like it. So we spent all this time talking about how to deal with those rude colleagues.
Yeah. All the strategies from that book.
Managing rude and aggressive colleagues. We've talked about setting boundaries, the gray rock method, you know, keeping records, and even like when it's time to just walk away.
Yep.
But I think like the big thing that's come through for me is just this idea of like, you're not powerless.
Right.
Like you have a choice.
You do.
You don't have to be a victim.
Exactly. You're in control.
Yeah. And I think, you know, part of that is like you were saying about remembering that like it's not about me.
Right.
It's about them.
Their behavior, yeah.
Which is hard.
It is hard.
But when I can remember that, it does make it a little easier.
It does. And it gives you the space to react in a way that's better for you.
Yeah. Okay.
So instead of getting all like emotionally caught up, you can either set a boundary or, you know, go gray rock, document it, whatever you need to do.
So I have all these tools.
You do.
And I can choose which one to use.
Yes. And that's empowering.
It is.
So you're not just stuck.
Right.
You can actually do something.
And I have support.
Yes. Always remember that.
Okay. Let's see.
You're not alone.
So there's one thing I was thinking about.
Okay.
That the book doesn't really talk about. What if instead of just like reacting to the bad stuff, we try to create a more positive environment?
I love that.
Like, what if we focus on being kind?
Lead by example.
Yes.
Be the change you want to see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like, even if it's just like a small thing, like complimenting someone, helping them with a project.
Being nice.
Yeah, just like being genuinely nice to people.
I love that.
And maybe that won't fix Brenda and Kevin.
Maybe not.
At least I've done my part.
Yes, you've made your corner of the world a little bit better.
Okay, I like that.
And you know, you never know. It might rub off on them.
Maybe.
Right.
So to everyone out there listening who's dealing with their own Brenda or Kevin, just remember, you're not alone.
You got this.
You do have this.
You have the power.
And you deserve to be treated with respect.
Absolutely.
So go out there.
Be kind.
Be kind.
Set those boundaries.
And create a better workplace.
Yes.
Okay, that's our show for today.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
We'll see you next time.